Your truck is running on 8 cylinders, then 4, then 8, then 4 again. Every time you cruise down the highway, General Motors is switching cylinders off inside your engine again and again without your knowledge. They told you it would save fuel. They told you it was the future of the American V8. What they did not tell you is that this system was destroying engines in millions of trucks across America. They knew it. They documented it for over 15 years. And they kept installing it anyway. This is the story of how GM built a time bomb into the most popular trucks on the road, and what smart owners are doing right now to stop it. It is called Active Fuel Management, AFM. The system lives inside the 5.3-liter and 6.2-liter V8 engines found in virtually every Silverado, Sierra, Tahoe, Suburban, Yukon, and Escalade built since 2007. The pitch was simple. Under light driving conditions, shut down 4 of the 8 cylinders to save fuel. On paper, it claims 1 to 3 miles per gallon in savings. In reality, it saves roughly 1 gallon per fill-up, about $4 at the pump. But here is what GM never put in the brochure. The mechanical components that make AFM work, tiny hydraulic lifters with internal locking pins, have a documented failure rate that has destroyed engines on hundreds of thousands of trucks. When they fail, you do not just lose fuel economy. You lose your engine. Repair bills run from $3,500 to $7,000. Full engine replacements push past $12,000. And a class action jury verdict of $102.6 million exposed exactly what General Motors knew and when they knew it. Before we get to the verdict, you need to understand what is actually happening inside your engine. AFM installs special 2-piece lifters on cylinders 1, 4, 6, and 7. A regular lifter is one solid piece. An AFM lifter has an inner body held in place by a locking pin, spring no bigger than a fingernail. When the computer decides to deactivate those 4 cylinders, pressurized oil collapses the lifter, the pushrod drops, and the valve stays shut. The cylinder goes dead. That transition takes under 250 milliseconds. At highway speed, it happens constantly throughout your drive, and each cycle puts stress on those tiny pins. When a pin cracks or sticks, the lifter stays collapsed even when the computer commands it back to full power. That cylinder misfires. Your dashboard lights up. Your engine starts ticking, not a gentle tick, the kind of deep metallic knock every experienced mechanic recognizes immediately. Owners describe it as a helicopter sound coming from under the hood. There is also a symptom that develops silently, long before the tick starts. When cylinders deactivate, their pistons keep moving without combustion pressure to seal the rings. Oil slips past and burns off. Owners report consuming a quart every 1,000 miles. Sometimes every 500, your oil light never comes on. The engine simply runs itself low. GM's own internal bulletins acknowledge this problem. They describe oil spray from the AFM system causing deposit buildup in piston rings from the beginning. In plain English, the system was burning oil and coating rings with deposits from day one. Then comes the real catastrophe. If a failed lifter rotates in its bore, the roller bearing turns sideways against the camshaft and shaves it. Metal debris goes straight into the oil system and travels through every passage in the engine. Bearings, cylinder walls, the entire short block. One failed lifter the size of your thumb can turn a $60,000 truck into a $7,000 repair bill. That is not even the worst part. GM has known about this problem since at least 2010. Not speculation, documented in their own technical service bulletins, the memos that tell dealers how to handle specific problems. The first bulletin on AFM lifter noise came out in November 2010. That first bulletin was followed by revision after revision over the next 15 years. Instead of fixing it, GM kept writing new versions of the same bulletin. The master AFM failure bulletin has been revised at least 14 times over 15 years, each revision quietly adding newer model years as the identical failure appeared in brand new trucks. The problem was not a bad production run, it was the fundamental design. GM updated the memo and kept shipping trucks. Think that is bad? Here is where it gets worse. In late 2021, GM issued an internal directive, document number N212353840, instructing dealerships to replace all the lifters on unsold trucks before delivering them to customers. Trucks built between June 2020 and March 2021 had lifter pin springs that were improperly heat-treated during manufacturing. GM knew. They fixed the inventory sitting on dealer lots. Trucks already in customer driveways got nothing. No letter, no phone call, no notification of any kind. Some of those trucks were failing at under 10,000 miles. A 2021 Yukon AT4, a $77,000 truck, had a lifter collapse before the odometer hit 10,000 miles. A 2019 Trail Boss failed at 12,500 miles, was repaired under warranty, then failed again at 67,000 miles. One fleet manager running over 225 GM trucks reported the majority of his entire fleet had needed engine replacements before 150,000 miles. Consider what that failure looks like from behind the wheel. In 2021, one owner was crossing a 20-mile bridge 250 miles from home when his truck began to sputter, misfire, and shake violently. He barely managed to get the vehicle off the bridge before it lost all power. That is not a minor inconvenience. That is a safety event on a bridge. During the Siqueiros class action trial in California, a GM engineer testified that the company chose a cheaper remedy over a fix that actually worked. They had the real solution. They chose the less expensive option instead. The jury awarded $102.6 million. The case later settled for $175 million. And General Motors has still never issued a recall for AFM lifter failures across all affected engines and model years. In January 2025, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration opened a formal investigation covering 877,000 vehicles. GM's own data disclosed to federal investigators showed 28,102 field reports of engine failure, 14,332 cases of propulsion loss, and 42 fire-related incidents. 42 fires on trucks sold to save you $4 per tank. So what are smart owners doing right now? They are going around it. A device called the Range Technology AFM Disabler, about the size of a USB drive retailing for $204, plugs into the diagnostic port under your dashboard and tells the engine computer never to activate cylinder deactivation. Your V8 runs as a V8 every mile. Unplug it, and the truck returns to factory settings with no trace. An entire aftermarket industry, Range Technology, OBD Link, EGR Performance, dozens of competitors, now exist to undo what GM built. But here is what the disabler alone cannot fix. Those two-piece lifters with their failure-prone locking pins are still inside your engine. The disabler reduces the cycling stress. It does not replace the components. Owners who want permanent protection go one step further, a full AFM Delete. Companies like Texas Speed and Performance and Brian Tooley Racing sell complete conversion kits, standard non-AFM lifters, a replacement valley cover, and a camshaft built for an engine that never deactivates. Parts run $600 to $1,700. Add labor and a custom tune, and the total lands between $3,000 and $9,000, depending on where you go. You pay that once. Now run the math GM never ran for you. The claimed savings are 1 to 3 miles per gallon. Real-world improvement most owners actually see is 0 to 1. You would need to drive 300,000 miles without a single failure to break even on one repair bill. Multiple owners report zero measurable change after disabling the system entirely. Here is the detail that says everything about how this ended. During the chip shortage of 2021 and 2022, some trucks shipped from the factory with AFM hardware installed, but the computer not programmed to activate it. Those trucks, identified by a factory option code called YK9, became some of the most sought-after used GM trucks on the market. Buyers were specifically hunting for trucks that accidentally shipped without the cylinder deactivation system GM spent 2 decades building. That is the verdict the market delivered long before any jury did. Go back to where we started. Your truck is running on 8 cylinders, then 4, then 8, then 4 again. Now you know what GM documented for 15 years, what their own engineer admitted under oath, and what it costs when those pins give out. You have 2 choices. Plug in a disabler today and protect what you have. Or do the full delete and never think about it again. Either way, the decision belongs to you, not to General Motors. If you own one of these trucks, share this with every GM owner you know. The class action covering 2014 to present is still in federal court. If this investigation opened your eyes, hit subscribe. We cover the stories automakers hope you never find.